Have you ever walked away from a relationship feeling more puzzled than hurt? Not just wounded, but unsettled, as if your heart had gone all in, while hers stayed somewhere safe, untouched. The deepest blow is not losing her, it's discovering you were the only one truly building. You were planting roots. She was just passing time in the shade. You were shaping a future. She was managing the moment. No anger, no blame, no victim story, only awareness. Because sometimes love doesn't fall apart. It quietly ends at the point where it was never fully alive. Today, we strip away illusion and face a difficult clarity. 5 subtle signs that her heart was never standing where yours was. When your struggles leave her unchanged. Love is not proven by promises. It is proven by presence. When someone truly cares, your inner world is not separate from theirs. Your tension reaches them. Your joy lights them up. Your disappointments slow them down. There is an invisible bridge between 2 emotional lives. But when that bridge was never built, something quiet starts to show. You talk, she hears. You explain, she replies. You open your chest, she stays composed. Everything looks normal on the surface. The words are correct, the timing is polite, the behavior is socially acceptable. Yet something essential is missing. It feels rehearsed instead of real. You walk in after a day that drained you. Something meaningful failed. A deal collapsed, a goal slipped away, months of effort dissolved in a moment. You are not asking her to rescue you. You are asking her to stand beside you emotionally. She gives you a brief reaction, a short comment, a quick, "That's unfortunate." Then the topic gently drifts back to her world. Or her attention shifts to her screen. Or she offers advice before she offers understanding. There is no attack, no argument, no visible disrespect, just distance. And that quiet distance weighs more than open criticism. Real empathy does not check the clock. It does not wait for its turn to speak. It leans closer, it stays. It asks, "What did that mean to you?" It wants to understand the impact, not just the event. When a woman feels deeply connected, your burdens naturally matter to her. She may not have solutions, but she wants to share the emotional weight. She senses your heaviness before you explain it. But when emotional investment is absent, your pain becomes background sound. Your vulnerability interrupts the atmosphere she prefers, one where things feel light, stable, convenient. Over time, patterns begin to repeat. She seems irritated when you are discouraged. She shrinks your problems by comparing them to something minor. She implies, gently, subtly, that you are overthinking. She is warm when you are confident, distant when you are uncertain. Without noticing, you start adjusting yourself. You speak less. You simplify your feelings. You swallow what you once would have shared. Not because you want to, but because something inside you learned it is safer that way. That is where the real damage begins. A relationship without emotional safety slowly turns a man inward. He begins carrying his worries alone, even while lying next to someone. The confusion grows because technically he has a partner. But emotionally, he is standing by himself. This is not about demanding constant attention, it is about emotional alignment. When love is present, your internal world holds value. Your mental peace is not secondary. Your struggles are not inconvenient interruptions. If instead she evaluates your emotions from a distance, if she manages them instead of entering them, if she treats your low moments like obstacles rather than openings, then what exists between you is shared space, not shared depth. Indifference rarely announces itself loudly. It appears in small reactions, in shortened responses, in a lack of curiosity about what you feel beneath your words. The message is subtle. Your emotional reality does not require my involvement. Pay attention to how someone responds when you are not at your best. Not ambitious, not impressive, not strong, just human. Because genuine love is revealed when strength fades. If she withdraws when you are exposed, if her warmth cools when you struggle, if you begin to feel like an emotional inconvenience, then you must ask yourself a difficult question. Are you building intimacy with someone who truly values your depth, or with someone who prefers you only when you are effortless? Emotional neglect is silent, but it reshapes a man from the inside. When someone feels unseen long enough, he begins questioning whether his feelings are excessive, whether his needs are unreasonable, whether his depth is a flaw. No connection is worth shrinking yourself for. This is not about cruelty. It is not about betrayal. It is about absence, the missing gravity that should pull two emotional worlds together. If your hardest days do not touch her, if your storms never alter her sky, then you are not standing under the same horizon, when you are not part of her tomorrow. Every relationship carries a quiet truth test. It's rarely about passion. It's rarely about chemistry. It's not about how often "I love you" is said. It is about time, specifically, whether she imagines a future that includes you. When a woman is genuinely committed, you naturally appear in her vision of tomorrow, not with grand gestures or forced promises, but in the small, instinctive ways she talks and plans. She says "we" without thinking. She pictures events, trips, and milestones that automatically involve you. She speaks of the next year as something shared, because in her mind, you are part of the ongoing story, not a temporary chapter. But when her love is shallow, uncertain, or conditional, the pattern changes. Her future becomes her solo project, and you feel like a guest, never a partner. She may discuss moving cities. She may plan career leaps. She may talk about lifestyle changes, but listen closely. There is no space intentionally reserved for you. You ask gently, "Where do I fit in all this?" She smiles politely. "We'll see." Let's not overthink it. Life is unpredictable. It seems reasonable, even mature, but underneath, it signals detachment. A woman fully invested in you does not hesitate to plan together. She does not make your presence negotiable. Even if details are unclear, the intention is unmistakable. You are part of the long-term picture. If you are optional, it feels subtle at first, but patterns emerge. Major life choices are made without consulting you. Her goals feel intentionally separate from your influence. Conversations about long-term commitment are avoided or delayed. She redirects discussions of shared dreams back to the present. She may enjoy your company. She may care in her way. But at a deeper level, she maintains psychological independence. This is not about ambition or personal freedom. A strong woman can love fully and still maintain autonomy. The difference is inclusion. Love integrates. Indifference separates. If she builds mental walls around her long-term vision, you are not her foundation, only her temporary comfort. Comfort fades. Foundations endure. Pay attention when you speak about building something lasting. Does she lean in, contribute ideas, and respond warmly? Or does her energy retreat, becoming distant, non-committal, cautious? That hesitation is not random. It is emotional reservation. When someone is unsure, they avoid tying their life to yours. They leave doors open, not because they plan to leave, but because they do not feel anchored. True love anchors. It instills a subtle fear of losing what you both are building. It protects the us instinctively. But if her life would go on unchanged without you, if her 5-year plan is complete with or without your presence, it is time to ask, are you co-creating a future or simply renting space in her timeline? The most painful position for a man is investing long-term energy into someone who sees him short-term. Time is the ultimate revealer. Months or years may pass, and if your place in her future is undefined, undefined usually means undecided, and undecided often means unchosen. You deserve clarity. You deserve to be part of a vision, not a placeholder, a maybe, or a draft that can be erased. A woman who truly loves protects your place in her life. She does not make it negotiable. If you feel constantly like you are waiting for confirmation, for full inclusion, for your place to be claimed, you are not standing beside her in destiny. You are standing beside her in convenience. And convenience does not last. Destiny does. When she disrespects your limits. Love without respect is empty emotion. You can feel chemistry without respect. You can be attached without respect. You can even feel desire without respect. But real love, it cannot exist without it. A woman who truly values you pays attention. She notices what matters. She observes what challenges you. She remembers the things you hold sacred, your principles, your space, your standards. These are not obstacles to her. They are parts of you she honors and protects. But when her care is shallow, your boundaries become flexible, negotiable, optional. At first, it may appear in small ways. You tell her certain personal struggles are private. Later, you hear she shared them with friends. You set a line for jokes that hurt. She laughs and calls you too sensitive. You express discomfort with a behavior. She dismisses it, reframes it, or turns it back on you. Individually, these moments may seem minor. Together, they reveal a quiet truth. Your limits matter less than my comfort. A woman in love protects your dignity, even when you are absent. She does not mock your weaknesses. She does not treat your vulnerability as entertainment. Because when she values you, your integrity becomes part of her own. But if she casually exposes your flaws, if she laughs at your insecurities publicly, if she shares your trust without care, she does not treat your inner world as sacred, and that slowly erodes something vital inside you. A man who sees his boundaries ignored begins doubting himself. Am I asking too much? Am I overreacting? Should I just tolerate it? That doubt is dangerous, because once small disrespect is tolerated, larger breaches become easier to accept. True respect is quiet. It appears in restraint, in thoughtfulness, in remembering what matters to the other person. It shows in how she speaks about you when you are not around. It shows in how she responds when you say no. If she reacts defensively to your boundaries, if she turns your discomfort into an argument, if she repeatedly ignores what you've clearly communicated, that is not a misunderstanding. That is a lack of prioritization. People protect what they value. They are careful with what they fear losing. If she crosses your lines without concern, she is not afraid of losing you. And that speaks louder than any romantic gesture ever could. True intimacy requires safety. Safety means you can share your vulnerability without fear of exposure. Safety means your boundaries are honored, not tested. Without it, the relationship becomes a subtle battlefield. You become guarded instead of open, alert instead of relaxed. When a man must defend his own dignity inside a partnership, something is broken. Love does not shrink you. It does not demand you lower your standards to maintain peace. If your values are dismissed, if your requests are inconvenient, if your emotional space is ignored, you are not in a partnership. You are in imbalance. And imbalance always drains the one who cares more. Respect is not optional in love. It is the foundation. Without it, nothing lasting can take root. When you feel measured instead of chosen. There's a subtle way a man begins to shrink in a relationship. Not because she insults him, not because she openly disrespects him, but because he gradually starts feeling inadequate. Comparison rarely shouts. It whispers. Polished, almost invisible, yet powerful. She doesn't say, "You're not enough." Instead, it's comments like, "Have you noticed how focused he is? My friend's boyfriend is really driven. I admire men who are more emotionally expressive." On the surface, they seem innocent, but when remarks like these appear often and always point toward qualities you lack, something deeper is happening. You begin to feel measured, placed beside invisible standards, constantly evaluated, and without noticing, you start performing. Working harder, explaining yourself more, changing who you are. Not because you want to grow, but because you feel pressure. A woman who truly loves you does not compare you to others. She may notice admirable qualities in men around her, but she does not use that admiration as leverage. When she sees your value, she amplifies it. She highlights your strengths. She frames your flaws with understanding, not as disqualifiers. But when love is shallow, admiration drifts outward. She notices what other men offer. She mentions it casually. She lets it linger between you like a shadow. And that shadow weighs on you. You might tell yourself, "She's just motivating me." But motivation born from comparison feels different from encouragement born from belief. Comparison says, "You're behind." Belief says, "I see your worth." One drains your energy, the other strengthens it. If you constantly feel like you're competing for her approval, something is off. Love should make a man feel chosen, not ranked, not auditioning, just chosen. When a woman sees you as her man, admiration feels steady. You don't question your place. You don't need to outperform strangers or old ideals to feel secure. But when she continually references what others do better, when she subtly compares you to exes or benchmarks, when praise feels conditional, you start living under quiet anxiety. And desire cannot thrive in a state of tension. Respect, attraction, and confidence all collapse where a man feels replaceable. Comparison quietly plants the idea that you are interchangeable. Over time, your confidence erodes. You may not speak up immediately, you internalize it. Push yourself harder, stretch beyond your limits, try to become what she seems to want. But here's the uncomfortable truth. If she truly loved you, she wouldn't need you to transform into someone else to appreciate you. Growth in a relationship is natural. Evolution is healthy. But change driven by fear of losing favor is not love. It is managing insecurity. And managing someone else's insecurity always exhausts the person trying to prove themselves. Notice how you feel after she talks about other men. Do you feel inspired or subtly diminished? Do you feel valued or measured? There is a difference. A woman who loves deeply becomes your safe harbor in a world of competition. She reminds you of your worth. She reinforces your confidence. She makes you feel like the standard, not the comparison. But if she consistently positions you against imaginary ideals, if her words make you question whether you're enough, then you are not her priority, you are her option. And being an option slowly drains a man's spirit. You deserve to feel chosen, to feel admired for who you are. Because love that is real elevates a man. Admiration flows naturally. Comparison does not. One builds a man, the other quietly dismantles him. When she walks away without strain. This is one of the clearest signs a man can overlook, the one truth most ignore until it hits hard. Every relationship faces tension. Couples argue, differences emerge. Two personalities, two worlds, they will inevitably collide. But conflict alone does not destroy a connection. Indifference does. Observe carefully what happens when difficulties arise, when emotions spike, when misunderstandings surface. When pride steps in. Does she fight to resolve it, or does she quietly step back, emotionally detached? A woman who truly loves you may show anger. She may cry. She may speak words she later regrets. But beneath the heat, there is always one constant. She does not want to lose you. Even in frustration, her aim is repair. She seeks reconnection. She works to rebuild the bridge that connects you, because your absence would unsettle her world. But when love is shallow or gone, conflict becomes a tool to test, a tool to control, a tool to measure your fear. You're unhappy, maybe we should end this. I'm not forcing you to stay. Maybe we aren't right for each other. Notice how these words are delivered. Calm, detached, even rehearsed. No panic, no urgency, no visible fear of losing you. This is not strength, it is emotional detachment. When someone values you deeply, even suggesting separation carries weight. It is heavy, even the thought feels risky. But if she casually throws the idea of breaking up into serious disagreements, she is signaling an important truth. She does not fear the outcome. People only threaten what they are willing to accept. You might convince yourself it's anger talking, that she doesn't really mean it, but repeated patterns always reflect internal reality. If every argument ends with a reminder that she could leave, emotional distance is already present. She is not fighting to save the relationship. She is protecting herself from needing it. And this dynamic is dangerous. You begin to tread lightly. You soften your opinions. You avoid confrontation. Because one misstep feels like it could destroy everything. Gradually, you stop being fully yourself. A man who fears abandonment in every conflict loses his leadership. He becomes reactive instead of grounded. He negotiates for stability instead of acting from confidence. Love should never feel conditional. It should never feel like your position can be revoked at any moment. True connection creates shared vulnerability. Both people understand that separation would hurt. Mutual care builds responsibility. But if she shows no discomfort at the thought of losing you, if silence after conflict does not affect her, if she can emotionally detach for days without concern, then you are no longer central in her heart. Sometimes she may remain physically present because it's convenient, because it's familiar, because it's comfortable. But emotional presence is different. True emotional presence engages. It communicates, it clarifies, it repairs. It does not sit calmly while distance grows. A woman who truly loves may need space, but she does not weaponize it. She does not use distance as leverage. She does not test how much you will endure. If you consistently feel like the only one trying to restore connection after conflict, the imbalance is clear. You are holding something she is ready to release. And here is the hardest truth. If she can imagine life without you and feel no disturbance, her emotional investment has already diminished. This is not evil, not manipulation. Some people simply detach quietly before ending the relationship. But your responsibility is to recognize it. Remaining where you are not valued erodes self-respect. A man should never have to beg for emotional security. He should never have to prove his worth simply to avoid replacement. If she repeatedly points to the exit, directly or indirectly, believe her. When someone sees you as irreplaceable, they protect the bond. When someone sees you as replaceable, they protect their options. Love holds fast during storms. Indifference loosens its grip. If she can envision life without you and remain unaffected emotionally, she already has. The strongest choice is not clinging harder. It is recognizing when you are fighting alone. True love does not make a man fear abandonment. It makes him feel chosen, even in conflict. And if you are not chosen in the hardest moments, you were never fully chosen at all. The hard truth. Men often ignore. Realizing she never truly loved you isn't shame, it's clarity. You cannot force feelings. You cannot bargain for genuine devotion. What you can control is where you place your energy, time, and heart. Remaining in a one-sided connection quietly erodes confidence. Walking away restores it. You deserve to be chosen, not merely tolerated. You deserve passion, not convenience. You deserve loyalty, not conditional affection. This is not about blaming her, it's about empowering yourself. Many men stay too long because they fear starting over. But clarity is strength. When you stop pursuing someone unsure of you, you open space for someone certain. You cannot build a life in someone else's waiting room. Respect your boundaries. Protect your self-worth. Never beg for a place in a heart that should give it freely. The strongest move a man can make is to walk away before he loses himself. Because leaving is not losing love, it is making room for the love you deserve. Stop chasing uncertainty. Start valuing yourself. Step into relationships where you are chosen, celebrated, and valued, not questioned, tolerated, or measured. Your life and heart deserve nothing